so I'm here with Cheryl Harden. She is a high school student and she is also Miss Booker T. Washington. So just to begin this interview, could you please just tell us a little bit about yourself? We just want to get to know you.
Hello, everyone. My name is Cheryl Harden. I'm a senior in high school at Booker T. Washington High School. Um, I represent in multiple clubs such as like volleyball, JRTC, cosmetology, things of that nature, and I'm also Miss Booker T. Washington High School. Um, my plans for after high school, I'm not quite sure on what college I plan to go to or attend yet, but I am very excited to graduate and I'm just ready to start college.
Yes, I definitely hear you. Do you know what you might want to like major in, or you're not sure yet?
Um, Maybe public health or either health sciences.
Oh, it's awesome. Okay. So with that being said, can you just tell us a little bit about what your high school experience was before the pandemic happened?
My high school experience before the pandemic happened, I started high school. That was my only year. So I was a freshman in high school. It was wonderful, but it was not how I expected high school to be. I thought high school was gonna be just like High School Musical, but it was completely different. Um it was different. It was better, but I really, really loved it. I love the the social life, just going to support for different basketball, football, volleyball, different things of that nature. And I really love like my administrators and my teachers as well because they always encourage me to just keep going and to just get involved, which is something that I love to do and represent and do well now.
Yes, I definitely hear you. When you said freshman year was your only year, is that when the pandemic happened or did it happen during your sophomore year?
No, the pandemic happened in the middle of my freshman year.
Okay.
So yeah, it was about like around March.
Hmm. So, do you remember anything about like what it felt when school and everything kind of just shut down, leaving school, not knowing when you're going to come back? Do you remember how that day felt?
Yes, I do. Till this day, it was just so just unimaginable. But we were out and we got out for spring break, how we normally do. And then we started hearing that we might not come back after spring break. And I was like, oh, they like, it's going to work out. It's going to be a plan. This isn't going to last forever. Hopefully, it'll just brush over and be done with. But the day I remember hearing that we were not going to come back, um, after spring break, I was in shock, almost just in shock. And I really didn't like it because I'm an only child. So when I'm at home, I'm really by myself all the time with no like social interaction. But at school, I just get to blossom and be with my friends and have fun. So it was kind of surreal and unimaginable at the time.
Right. And you mentioned, being the only child and not really having anyone to spend time with in that way, like at least your age group at home. So what can you tell us about your lockdown experience? Did you stay connected with your fellow students? And like how were the online classes?
During the time of the lockdown, I did stay connected with my classmates and friends at first, but then it started getting to the point where it was like sort of kind of like I was drifting off from the social part of my life. So I really wasn't interacting with that many people around my age group, just only like my family members, um, and my siblings who are older than me. So they still not in my age group. But the online classes, I think, were very, very different for me. But I liked it better because most of my classes um converted to online and online platforms, so I could go at my own pace rather than like now you have to stay with the class and just go in order. But during that time you just go at your own pace, which was nice because I like to pace myself, and my pace may be faster than someone else's.
Yeah, and I'm sure like your online classes didn't take up your entire day. So what else would you do to like keep busy and yeah.
So my online classes definitely did not take 8 hours a day, and I wish it was still the same for in-person learning, but it's definitely not. Being at school all day is definitely not good. But um I will say I have a YouTube channel, so I did that during my downtime. Other than that, I really didn't do anything but just sit in the house and just spend time with my family, which is one thing that I am thankful for. I started spending time with my family, and my relationship with God started to grow and blossom. And I'm really, really thankful and appreciative for that, because that all only happened because of the lockdown and all of that that transpired at the time.
So do you think you had more time to dedicate, to your hobbies, your interests during the lockdown?
Yes, definitely.
Mm.
And I also picked up a new hobby, which was painting
Okay.
and making graphic arts, which I do love. And I started art club last year and graphic design and TV media. So I really found myself, or found what I actually like to do, because I had a lot of time to experiment and find what I didn't like and what I did like.
Yeah, that's awesome. So, with that being said, your lockdown experience, and then you finally hear we can come back to school. Were you excited to come back? And like, what were your feelings after being away for, I mean, it was a couple months, right? Before you got to go
It,
back in person. So, how are you feeling about that?
most people felt very well, most parents felt anxious because they were sending their children back into an environment where cases were surging up and down constantly. But honestly, I felt normal, like in the middle, not excited, but not anxious or nervous. So I felt right in the middle, especially since it was my junior year and I was an upperclassman. I felt really different than all of my other years. Most of my other years, I was just nervous and anxious, but my junior year, I felt great, like ready to come back, but also just ready to walk into a new season of my life after the lockdown.
Yeah, and your friends, did they feel the same way, or just the, student population in general?
Some felt that they were excited to come back, and some didn't, because some like to be at home or learn at home, opposed to me. I like to be in the school environment. So it was about 50-50.
Okay. And how was the adjustment to in-person school after all this online learning?
It was really different. It was challenging at first, but once you got used to it, it was okay. It was a lot of mandatory mask wearing. It was a lot of social distancing. So it's really hard to still have large groups in one classroom or learn one thing in this small space. So you had to spread it out, or either make more class periods, or either um have your class in the open area like the cafeteria or the gym or outside. So it was an adjustment at first, but once we found our niche, or were right where we were supposed to be, it was okay.
Yeah, and you mentioned with online learning you go at your own pace, and obviously that seems to be kind of lost in in-person learning. So do you think that adjustment was difficult?
Yes, yes, it was difficult, but not as difficult as I thought it would be. I actually loved going back to in-person learning, because some of the questions that you really had, really couldn't have that same connection when you ask somebody over online, or versus in person. In person, you get a more interpersonal relationship, and that just helps you feel comfortable with asking for help, or asking for assistance, or just asking them for tips about anything life in general.
Yeah, of course. So do you feel as if your high school experience is back to normal, or do you think it has changed, fundamentally? You can never go back to how it was pre-pandemic.
I think it has changed fundamentally. I think we won't ever be able to truly go back to how it was before the pandemic. But this is a different phase in all of our lives. So I think we should just embrace it and learn how to truly love it for what it is, and just have fun in the moment and experience it all.
Yes, you were so wise. With that being said, how was your experience as Miss Booker T. Washington High School affected by COVID? Because I'm guessing you had to, I guess, like run and stuff during the pandemic. So how did that, go?
Well, by the time I ran, so that was last spring, we were back to in person,
Okay.
but it was still certain times where the cases were surged and we would have to be like mandatory masks, or we would have one Wednesday out of school a week. And so it was um kind of just like we'll see how this week goes versus last week versus this week. So it wasn't that hard, but mostly my campaign was ran like over social media, and I did some stuff like post posters around the school or pass out wristbands or different little souvenirs like that. So it was fun. It was very, very fun. The whole entire process was fun, even though in the moment it seemed kind of like, oh, this is overwhelming, like a lot. But it was really, really fun. And I think we all enjoyed it, regardless if we won or didn't win.
Yeah, no, that's awesome. I'm glad you had fun. And with that being said, what do you miss most about high school before COVID happened?
One thing I do miss before COVID happened, I think it was more so different um certain experiences that we got to experience before COVID and now we don't. Um like before COVID, I think that like our school we had more so like activities together. We had this program called True North, and it was like a mentorship program, and it was about like life lessons or college preparation or life preparation, and it was fun, and we all got to do it together as a school, and we would do different activities. It was like one Friday out of each month. And we did that before COVID, but we don't do that anymore. But that was really fun. I think it was a bonding moment for everybody as a class and also as a school.
Yeah, and to close out this interview, how do you think your school's community has been affected by COVID? Do you think that you guys are still strong together? And how do you see the community going forward?
I think COVID-19 has definitely affected us positively as well as negatively. Positively on the note that I think we understand life to be different. We understand that life, I think we don't take life for granted like we used to, and we understand the importance of really being in the moment and loving each other and just making memories in the moment. But I think it also has been affected negatively because of the different experience we all experience like over the pandemic or over the lockdown, because we all had different experiences, so that shaped and changed all of us in different ways. So I think we just all need to communicate our about our differences and come back into being one so that we can work together.
Yeah, I totally agree. Thank you, Cheryl, so much for agreeing to do this interview.
You're welcome.